You clicked on this for one reason. AI is dangerous for designers. So you are in the right place. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I've seen it firsthand. AI can level you up or it can completely wipe you out. If you ignore it, you get left behind. But if you blindly use it, you lose your edge. And if you're in the middle, you're just fooling yourself. These are traps designers are facing right now, and we're here to show you how to avoid them. But here's the thing. The most dangerous thing AI gives designers isn't speed or output. It's false confidence. And that trap is catching more pros than it is beginners. Let's go!
What the hell? What is going on?
I know. This is something
You
new.
see this?
So I kind of feel like, first off, in all fairness, we know I love bourbon. Can't get bourbon right now, right?
That's true.
And you love scotch, and
Yep.
I have enjoyed scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so than I should. But then I started getting, once we're getting to the LCBO, we're seeing everything that's there. And then I'm like, holy crap, have we been missing the boat here? Because when we walk over into the beer section, the frickin' labels on the beers are all fantastic. They're all because they're all competing at an eye level. It's like art.
Yes.
It's like a little art gallery, but at the liquor store.
Yes.
And then I realized this is a lot more exciting than the actual, the scotch and the bourbons we've been drinking.
It's more of a classy or refined look.
It is.
Where this is kind of, grittier.
And I mean, we're Canadian.
Yeah.
And so beer, Canadian.
Yes.
And we're graphic designers. And when you have cool labels like what we're looking at right here, I think we owe it to switch to beer for a little bit, have a beer, bring something new, and base it solely on the label. Yeah. The amount of attention and design, that goes into these labels. It's more than just making something look good. There is a company out of Hamilton, Ontario called Collective Arts. And they have a ton of different beers.
Yep.
And they have hundreds of labels because what they do is they're big on supporting the arts. And like 1% of all their, profits goes towards supporting art, artists or an art installation. They've got this whole part of the company. It's just that. And every one of their labels is a different artist, which is really, really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they've been going for years. I highly recommend checking out their websites. And interestingly enough, they have this huge thing on there, which is like they do not accept AI generated art at all. No AI generated content at all for their beer labels. Again, there's so much to this. There's so many dangers, honestly about using AI, not using AI, ignoring it, misusing it, half-assing it.
Yeah.
Like for graphic designers, like those it's like a war zone right now, right?
Yeah.
Because again, there's so much confusion on where to go. And the reality is there's dangers in all three of those areas, for graphic designers. Yeah. There's dangers if you misuse it, right? If you ignore it, and if you half-ass it. So that's why I thought it was important for us to address, the three areas of danger for designers and also offer some advice at the end on where to actually, use AI and how to bring it into your system. And so that's what we're here to chat about today.
Nice.
But
I like
before we do, Sean,
yes,
I just want a shameless plug to our newsletter, Anger Management for Designers. I want you guys to sign up for this because it's everything that we can't fit in an episode, but in newsletter format. Obviously, we've got a weekly challenge on there for everybody, a comic, something small about AI, and it just kind of keeps you in the loop of our community, of anything we do. So sign up in our profile, sign up on our website, or sign up at angermanagementfordesigners.com. It'll just simple form, put you right there with us.
Beautiful.
All right. So the most obvious, trap designers fall into, of course, is, right now with everybody so against AI, right? And there's so much anger towards it. You're not sure what side of the fence are, right? So some people are just like, screw it. I'm not touching it. I'm ignoring it. Okay. In my opinion, that's probably the worst thing you could do. That's the most dangerous thing you could do.
Yes. Doing nothing is probably the worst thing. You're right.
Well, right.
At least try, and maybe you could find something.
Well, because the reality is, like it or not, this technology is here to stay. And it is being integrated deeply into everything that we do. It's in our apps.
Yep.
It's in, apps online. Okay. And if you don't get into this, okay, right off the bat, you're like outdated as far as the customers are concerned.
Yep.
That's the worst thing that people don't realize. Right. Customers know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Customers expect us to know AI and expect us to be using it because, hey, we're using design software prior to this.
That's right.
They were expecting that to happen. So this, they're already asking, are you using AI? Do you have it in your platform? Because they now feel they're not threatened and they're not feeling like they're being cheated, right? They're worried if you're not using it, if you can keep up with the rest of the world. And no client wants to ever feel they're behind.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is true.
This is like this kind of like is like, remember back in the day when web started coming in and everybody was a print designer, okay, and so
biting their
many
nails,
right? No, well, no, a lot of them were like refusing to.
Oh, they didn't want you. Didn't want to try
because you stayed at the record, so you were stuck in print for quite a few years after the web came.
I did.
And how many of those print designers disappeared?
Didn't do that.
They didn't. They didn't
Right.
make the jump.
Right.
They disappeared because they didn't embrace digital. They didn't embrace web. They didn't embrace that whole world of design. And I mean, they became obsolete, unfortunately, right? Design just doubled.
Yeah.
Okay, with that new technology, and the designers were almost cut in half because a lot were just stuck in their ways and refused to move forward.
Yeah.
Same thing's going to happen here, unfortunately.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
A second thing, of course, that would be the dangers of not embracing AI, losing speed.
That's a big one.
Crazy to
That is
think,
huge.
but it's true, right?
Oh, yeah.
There comes a crossroad where, craftsmanship and efficiency come together, right? And if all of a sudden, people are getting that same end result at 5 times the speed, 10 times the speed, you're doing yourself a disservice by continuing to do it the old way because it's a more craft-like way of doing it.
Right.
I'm a designer. That's how I'm going to do it, right?
Right.
If other designers are using AI to come up with mood boards, come up with some preliminary designs, I don't know anybody who's using it as a final product yet.
Jesus, I hope not.
Right. Well, I mean, because for a lot of the stuff we do, it's not, it doesn't work like that.
No, it's not.
But God knows there's so many parts of our process that AI can be used and speed up that you're falling behind right off the bat if you're not using it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and to top it off, especially if you like bill by the hour or you base a project on hours, shit, dude, if you can shave off 20, 30, 50% of, your research and dev, just by jumping on AI, you're shortchanging yourself. You could be making more money.
Big time.
Client doesn't care.
No.
Right? As long as the end result is
The
what they
deliverables
want,
there? Yeah.
deliverables there,
Yeah.
they're more than happy if you're jumping on something that's more, up to date or whatever, right?
Big time.
Think of it this way. If a designer spends like 4 hours, a whole morning, or we'll say, most of the afternoon coming up with these mood boards, okay? Sure, for a project, that's great.
Yep.
Let's say if another designer comes up with these mood boards in 10 minutes, okay? Well, and again, is there a chance that the original ones might be a little, if the guy spent 4 hours, right? They might be better mood boards. They might be a little bit more tailored to that specific client.
Right.
But if the idea or the purpose of you creating these mood boards is just to get a sense of where the customer wants,
That's it.
right? The AI ones in 10, 15 minutes will do the job fine. You'll get it to the customer faster.
Yeah.
You've just freed up 3 more hours of your own time. What? Which one is more advantageous?
Exactly. Can you imagine if you'd done that and you've did this whole mood board and you got a client didn't like it at all? That's 4 hours that you've just kicked to the curb. Right? You could have been doing so much more.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is a perfect example of feeling out what the customer wants.
Absolutely.
And not spending a fucking half a day doing
right.
it. Right.
This is that efficiency that we just, you can't deny. Okay. And then the third thing, of course, if you decide not to embrace AI or just try to ignore it, you are going to be missing so many opportunities. And I don't mean just job opportunities, but yes, job opportunities. Because the thing is, as a graphic designer, right? Some of us have different levels of skill. Some are new. Some have got, 20 years experience. The ones that we, like us, 20 years experience, right?
Yeah.
We've gone through a lot to know how to deduce a problem, to know how to research. We understand strategy. Somebody who's new to the game, right, may not have that same depth of knowledge. So now with AI, you can jump into that strategy game, not only to be on our level, but you could jump in and be at like the McKinsey level and all the consultant company level.
Right.
Now, if you embrace AI and you're using it properly and you're putting it into your workflow, you can produce more strategic documents, more plans, better strategy guides, better brand strategy guides. You're missing this huge opportunity
Big time.
that, wasn't even available to you. Right now, a single person has almost as much, a strategic power as a full freaking agency does. So that's a huge missed opportunity. If you're like, nope, I'm not touching it.
That.
I'm just doing logos, right? Again, what happens here is because then it promotes us from being just like a pixel pusher to a thinker and to a problem solver. And dude, we know what different level of respect altogether from clients.
Yes.
I kind of don't miss those days where, he's a good designer, but he can make things look good. I kind of like when I'm being invited to that big table.
Yes.
With the engineers.
Yes.
With that whole new level. People are asking me for more strategic questions. Or they're asking me to help them make billion-dollar decisions in their fucking companies.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
That's a whole sense.
That's a different ball game altogether, right?
So those are 3 really solid points for the danger of ignoring AI.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's also this other side, there's also dangers of blindly using AI. Okay. And again, so let's say you're the opposite and you're like,
just like head
I'm
first.
going all in, right? And again, I have gone through a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
You do run the risk of becoming, you get this prompt jockey syndrome, right? Where literally it's like, anybody can just go in and type shit into Midjourney, right? And create a really cool image, right? And the sad part is, if you keep doing that over and over and over again, you start looking very much the same. Everything, you become that one trick pony.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a huge, ultimately it's like your whole portfolio will end up looking the exact same shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, you do run the risk of keeping yourself like wafer thin in that area, right? You're going in, you think that, I'm a Midjourney expert, but everything always looks the same. So, and then again, that actually kind of stops you. Remember back in the day when it's like, Photoshop, new filters came out and then came lens flare. Lens flare was used everywhere.
Wow.
Right?
I would have my impact lettering with the bevel and emboss and then the lens flare on it.
I remember creating logos with lens flare. Okay, tell me how many people I piss off. How many printers are like,
printers are
how
like,
the hell
what
are we going to do this? But it's true, right? You do. The lens flare was cool for about 10 seconds. And then that was it, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But nonetheless, right, everything starts learning the same.
Yeah.
So you do run that risk of, if you go in deep with, a single AI like Midjourney, right? Well, it's got a very similar look, feel. And if you start, using the same type of prompts over and over, because that's what you do, you run the risk of everything being carbon copied looking the same.
Exactly.
So that's a huge problem, right?
Yeah.
A big concern that I know I have, and I'm constantly, it sucks. It's tiring because I'm constantly, on Pinterest, in Google, I'm absorbing all these different styles, but you do run the risk of losing your design eye.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, you kind of would rely a little heavier on that now.
Well, kind of, right? Because again, if you over rely on AI, you start losing your own instincts. Okay. And the thing is, instincts, it's kind of like your design critical eye. Right? You build that naturally over time.
Yeah.
But at the pace that AI is moving, you can run the risk of losing your design edge, unfortunately. If kind of like the problem number 1, if every time you're prompting something, it comes out similar. Yeah. And that's kind of like your new go-to, your new regular, right? That is a huge problem that you constantly have to, be self-aware that you're not going down this road, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is just similar to like the early days of Photoshop, right? Where, designers thought using Photoshop filters was designed.
Yeah.
Where it actually wasn't.
Yeah,
It was unfortunately a flourish that now we shit on every time it's used. But again, you don't want to get to the point where you stop refining your own eyes in being able to push yourself further and just as opposed to just following the AI trend, right? So again, you don't want to lose that edge, all right? This one is kind of funny. I don't think anybody ever thinks about this one enough, but you run the risk of being, killing your trust with your customers. Okay.
Oh.
And what I mean by this is, if you hand over something to a customer because it's generated in AI, and all of a sudden they're like, so why did you use that font? Or why did you choose that color, that scene? Exactly, right? If you can't defend it's exactly it, right?
It's true.
Now in front of the customer, you can't defend what you're
you
showing them,
yes,
right? Because again, it was AI generated. Right?
Chat told me to do this,
right? Or I put in the prompts. I mentioned your brand, and you put in a lot of really thin bullshit. Well, they're gonna see through that, and they're not gonna trust your creation. So you completely blew your trust. It's a trust killer, which is kind of weird, but it's like if you can't articulate your choices, without AI, okay, well, God knows you got to be able to defend those with AI. Otherwise, you're going to be a fraud.
Right.
When we went to Fan Expo this year, there was a lot of AI art. Some people were saying up to like 30-40% of the stuff there was AI.
That much?
Yeah, it was kind of high. There's other shows that completely ban AI art.
Awesome.
And they have removed people mid-show with security because they were found to have AI crap in there, right? So again, you don't want to be that fraud, okay? And you want to make sure that what you're presenting is always intentful.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can't figure out how to do that with AI, well, you better find that middle ground very quickly.
Yeah.
Because again, your reputation's at stake on this one.
Big time.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
All right, designers, let's cut the bull. How many times have you had a killer website designed only to watch it fall apart because of code or developer telling you no? Or maybe you've held back from web design altogether thinking it's just too complicated and too technical or totally out of your wheelhouse. Either way, it's time for a change. Wix Studio is designed for designers, removing the barriers that limits your designs. Whether you're tired of developers watering down your ideas or too intimidated by the technical side of web, Wix Studio puts the creative power back in your hands. No code required. With a drag and drop interface that feels designer intuitive, plus no code animations and even AI powered tools, you can create fully custom websites that match your vision. Every pixel, every detail. And if you're worried about the learning curve, don't be. Wix Studio is designed to feel as intuitive as your favorite design tools. Some designers here even say more so. That means you can jump right in and focus on what you do best, designing badass, brand-aligned websites that'll take your business to the next level. So whether you've had enough of developers holding you back or you're ready to finally step into web design, check out wixstudio.com and take control. That's wixstudio.com. Go and take back web design for graphic designers.
Those are 3 dangers of blindly using AI, okay? So there is a third option, which you think would be safe, okay? And you think, because it sounds logical, right? But in fact, it's got its own set of dangers. And that is the dangers of just coming to a middle ground, okay? When you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to learn AI. I'll play around with AI and I'll use it in my process and I'll just tell people, I use AI. Well, that has its own set of dangers.
All right.
Okay. And it really does, right? Because what happens is, like number one, if you don't know where to use it, you can become overly reliant on certain AI functions, prompts, tools but in the wrong areas, right?
Mm.
Like, again, what you don't want to do is you want to make sure that, you're using AI as an operator for your business, okay? Not as a designer in that sense. You don't want to become reliant on AI for all the basic chores and on all the things that make you who you are.
Mhm.
So it's really easy. It's a slippery slope if you don't know where to use it within your journey, right? If all of a sudden that tool was to disappear tomorrow, could you still function? Okay. And that's what you have to remind yourself. Did I become overly reliant, or, can I still do this if I had to do it on my own?
Right.
Okay. And that's legit, because oftentimes it's like, you have to remind yourself the process and why you're using it and how you're using it. Most of the times it's for efficiency. Sometimes it's for depth, research.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to all of a sudden replace your own mind power.
Right.
And just blindly relying yourself on this one, right?
Right.
Remember all those really fucking great Flash designers in the day? Flash was a technology that was, like between 2000, 2010, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And it was low power, low megabits, high animation. You could do games on it.
Yeah.
It was fucking
It was
awesome.
great.
And for whatever reason, Apple banned that shit. The reality is, what happened to all those Flash guys?
Yeah.
Right? Because again, people became so reliant on that specialty. So again, you don't want to become overly reliant that if it was to disappear,
you'd be screwed. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So there's that. Number two, you don't want to end up in AI purgatory.
Ooh.
Right? And what I mean by this is, you're dabbling so much in AI that you're spreading yourself thin everywhere. So you understand a little bit of everything, but you have no depth in any one of them. Right? So you understand a little bit of chat. You understand a little bit of Midjourney. You understand a little bit of, Higgins Field, right? And you're just jumping around all over the place, as opposed to, understanding the difference between an LLM and a video generator and a modeler, right? You want to almost, kind of keep that as your shallow depth of field, right? But find your main tools in each one of those categories.
Gotcha.
Basically, what happens is, you become that designer who just sprinkles AI into a little bit of everything. Okay. But the problem is then you're not really taking advantage of anything AI has to offer a designer.
Right.
So that's you don't want to end up in AI purgatory. I kind of feel like I might be there right now.
I was just going to say, man, like, you know everything, like you've dabbled in all of these. But I think I would say, I don't know, but I think chat would probably be your
100%
your go-to.
Absolutely.
Like that's the big,
very deep in chat.
Yes.
And then it's all the visual ones and the animation ones that I'm there. I'm dabbling with. I can have conversations with.
Yes. And that's probably the way to be, I would think. But
yeah, right. Well, and again, that's kind of where I think, you want to stay away from. Now, it's not to say that I'm not going to be going deeper into the other ones.
Yeah, you will.
I feel I have a solid grasp on chat. I feel I understand, how most LLMs work. So now it's time for me to now switch my learning energy into either, images or video component on this. And I think that is the plan. So don't worry, I'm going to stay ahead for everybody right there. But I mean, don't do that is kind of where you don't want to be, right? You want to make sure that you've got some depth on at least one where you can talk people's ear offs. And there's reasons why I chose chat, which we'll talk about later. But, definitely you don't want to be an AI purgatory.
Yeah.
And the third one about being in this middle ground is it gives you this false sense of confidence. Okay. And that's scary because now we're seeing this everywhere. People think that now they can do more than they actually can. They think they're smarter. They think that their results are better because they're using AI.
Right.
The reality is because they don't have that depth, right, on any one of these platforms, what they're providing is actually surface thin. It's actually really poor. It's below average shit, right? And this is true, right? A little bit of knowledge doesn't make you advanced. And that's where, you have to be careful, especially if you come face to face with someone who actually is advanced.
Yes.
Can you imagine being in a meeting with a client, being like, oh yeah, I know AI, this, that. And then they bring in whoever, maybe one of their interns, maybe a co-op student. That co-op student comes in and starts talking your ear off about it. And you're like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? It's like you think you've leveled yourself up, but really your skills are like paper thin. And then imagine, and if that happens in front of the client, right? That's it. Again,
your credibility again is out the window.
it's that whole expert status is gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, it's, that's the biggest one, in my opinion, the biggest worry about being in that middle ground of AI, that middle ground of, I know a little bit of this, a little bit, is that false sense of confidence that you will start feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, if you get called out on it, man, does it go the other way, right?
Well, how do you know you get better? Like what in something that's such a new field?
Well, good point. I think it's really based on the output that you're providing.
Okay.
Right. And honestly, like it's, if you go into Midjourney and you're blindly, you can type in whatever, it'll come up with an image.
Right.
Okay. Compare that to the shit that's out there.
Yes.
Compare that. There's so many resources out there, right? What you see. Compare the output of what you're doing, right? Animations. Compare the output to the animations that you're creating. When it comes to using like LLMs, what about the depth of research that you're providing? You could easily go into chat tomorrow, type something up, and it'll spit you out 30 days of social prompts. Okay. Easily for a customer.
Yeah.
They might be shit. Yeah. Because you don't understand enough on how to actually make a good quality.
So the worst part is to just take those 30 and use them.
That would absolutely the worst thing
you could do. So what you want to do is sift through them manually, still as a human.
Yep.
And pick out and then get chat
start refining them,
or whatever, refining. There was the refining aspect.
They're chat apps, right? They believe, you're basically prompting them through regular conversation.
Right.
Okay. So oftentimes you can be like, hey, I need social posts for this kind of customer for 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's only going to give you like a very thin surface level, right?
Yes.
If you're like, okay, my client is in this industry. Their customers are like this. Their demographics are like this. This is their problems. Okay. Right. This is our product. And all of a sudden
you're listing all these.
Has now gone from like one line to like 100 lines deep.
Right.
Your output will be so different in that case.
Yes.
And then we're talking high quality outputs.
Right.
So that's where it's like, you'll know you get better when you start understanding how these platforms respond to your prompts.
Right.
Yeah.
You still need the knowledge at the top then to
100%.
ask chat.
Absolutely.
All this stuff.
Exactly. You do, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's why, in all fairness, you could get all that top level knowledge info from chat. You absolutely could get in there and be like, hey, this is my customer. What do you know about them? Who are their competitors? What makes them better than everybody else?
Right.
What are their you could totally get that all from them. It's kind of funny. You could, and again, going back to our point that you are missing opportunities if you don't, embrace AI technology, because now you are not just a designer. You are the whole fucking agency. Right. Okay. And you have this capability now with AI.
Yeah. Right at your fingertips.
So, okay. 3-step framework. Okay. This is where it all goes. Okay. How far, how deep, where do you go on this one? Right. So, came up with a really simple, 3-step framework. Nice. And it's so good, Sean. Yep. It's AAA.
Oh, AAA.
Yeah. I was trying to, I think I kind of like tried to make this one work harder than I should, but it's basically adopt, adapt, and advance.
Ooh.
Okay. So hear me out. Okay. Number 1, adopt one tool. Okay. One.
Okay. Pick one.
Okay. Honestly, pick one tool and become fluent with it, whether it's chat, whether it's Midjourney, whether it's Runway. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay.
Right.
Just get all in on one tool. Obviously, I would recommend chat.
Yes.
And the reason why I would recommend going into chat first, and I mean, an LLM, it could be chat, it could be Gemini, it could be Copilot, right?
Right.
I have gotten very comfortable with chat, but reason being is it does everything for you. Okay. It can do research for you.
Yep.
It can, help you with writing. It can help you with, your admin tasks. It can help you come up with proposals.
Yep.
Shit. It can even do some really good images.
It can. Yes.
Chat is incredible.
Yes.
I would recommend just go all in on chat first.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you start getting comfortable with chat, then you can go and, learn other ones. Okay. But again, the reason why chat's the most important is because it's, as a designer right now, with the way AI is developing and all the tools, chat is the easiest one to go into your process, to fit right into your business within a week or two of using it. Put it into your process. It can, right? So that's
nice.
Number 2.
Yep.
Adapt your workflow.
Ooh.
Okay. So again, adopt one tool.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, number 2, adapt your workflow. Okay. So this is now using chat. Okay. Plug chat into your workflow. Look for opportunities where, you might need help expediting research.
Mhm.
You might need help writing a proposal. You might be stuck on a thought. You might want to use it as a brainstorming tool.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, chat, in my opinion, is the most versatile,
Big
in this sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Everything else, design related, this, that, you can do that afterwards. You're still a designer. You can, you want to free up your time so you can design.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is why chat is great for this. So you want to take this app, what you're learning, and as quick as you can, find places in your process, in your workflow, where you can drop chat and use it right away. Okay. Yeah. And again, use it to expand your thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Not replace your thinking.
No.
Okay. And that's why, I think chat's the best option for everybody to first and foremost jump in. Okay. So adopt one tool. Okay. Adapt into your workflow.
Mhm.
And last but not least, advance your career. Okay. Or advance your skills. But, where I'm going with this is you have now, if you've done this properly, if you've adopted one tool, become really good at it, and figured out how to actually adapt it into your workflow,
Mhm.
you're going to be saving yourself so much time. Now, okay, you won't believe how much more time you've saved in your workday, okay?
Crazy.
So what you need to do is you got to take this time that you've just freed up and level yourself up. You've got to study, learn strategy. Dig deeper into it. Grow your skills, right?
Yes.
Take advantage of this, because this is opportunities. Right now, we have a unique opportunity where you can save yourself a ton of time in order to replace it with a whole bunch of new learning that's going to take it to another fucking level.
Yes.
So this is where it's like, pick up new skills, go deeper into your skill set, maybe go deeper in your client management. Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Figure this shit out. And because again, you have to understand that designers, we have to keep our edge. Okay. And we're only going to keep it, if we keep up and keep evolving with the way the world is going and with the way our clients' expectations are changing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but time span. Okay. We don't have the same time as we used to. People are expecting things faster because they know
100 miles an hour. Yeah.
They know. And again, we've got some time management episodes in a couple months back or whatever.
Yeah.
But it talks about, how to give the illusion that, you're actually giving them things faster. So their expectations are quicker, of course, but you're now peppering in results along the way. So you're still able to, accommodate, their requests and still get a lot of shit done. This has changed so fast. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when web came and it was slow, right? It was slow to adopt, slow to understand. Okay. Social media, faster.
Yeah.
Okay. When that came in, people jumped on. It was trendy. It happens. There's a lot of, quick things went viral that really helped social media kind of take off.
Yeah.
This has, within the course of 2 years, has gone from
hit the ground running,
right?
Yeah.
From nobody's radar to basically on top of everybody's radar. So again, we're expected to evolve just like AI had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is how you're going to end up becoming a dangerous designer, Sean. Oh, you like this? You see, we went danger. But seriously, this is how you're going to have to compete in the future.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, you're right.
The nice thing is AI will allow you to compete with not only other AI designers, but other agencies.
Yes.
Because now we all have the same fucking tools.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the real question is, who can use them better?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So do you want to use them like a kid? Do you want to use them as like a boomer who's just dabbling on the weekends? Right. No disrespect, boomers. I love them. But, or do you want to be a badass designer, a dangerous fucking designer? And this is how you do this, right? Because again, I've said it before and I said it again, AI is not here to replace any one of our jobs. And I still believe AI was made for designers.
Right.
So the only person that you're going to lose to is other designers now using AI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's all I got for this one, dude.
That's pretty heavy. That's some heavy stuff.
I think so. But again, like I said, this isn't a nice to have. This is a have no choice.
Do it. Yeah.
All right, everybody. You know where to give us some feedback on this one. Hit us up on our website. Hit us up on Instagram or on YouTube. And please let us know your feelings. Let me know if there's anything else you'd recommend AI-wise.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
My name is Massimo.
My name is Sean.
Stay creative.
And stay angry.